I'm hoping that the Eagles trade for a wide receiver. Okay, I really want a Calvin Ridley trade. I really do, because I just think Calvin Ridley has something to prove. I know he has the talent. A lot of people and a lot of fans are saying he quit on his team, blah, 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 all that. So if that's the case, then Brandon Brooks quit on his team when he had the anxiety issues. Lane Johnson quit on the team when he had the anxiety, depression issues. Things do happen to people. Everybody has issues, whether you're making millions of dollars or not. You know what I mean? So you have to respect that. You know what I mean? You can't get mad over stuff like that. This is just life. This is just life at the end of the day, okay? Now, I want to go into why this should work out and how the Eagles are going to be the front runners for this trade going forward. And I think Mike Garofalo was on NFL Network and did talk about this a little bit and said that, Calvin Ridley's camp has not talked to the Falcons front office at all whatsoever. Okay? No, they haven't talked. There's been no talks about anything. I mean, they haven't. So sooner or later, they're going to have to come together. But what Mike Garofalo has recently said is that he's speculating a trade could go down. It's a very strong possibility for a trade. So the Eagles would be the front runners for this trade immediately, just because if the Eagles call and say, hey, what's going on, they're going to pick up the phone and say, okay, well, they have the most draft compensation going into this draft with 3 first-round picks, a second, obviously, and you have picks next year as well. So what can you give up for Calvin Ridley? We've already made videos, we've already talked about different situations and different scenarios. If all they want is a pick, if this is a breakup for Calvin Ridley and the Falcons, the front office might just want to just get him out of the building if he just doesn't want to be here. So since Calvin Ridley hasn't talked to the front office, or his camp hasn't talked to the front office, it pretty much means that I don't think he wants to be there. So, it's a strong possibility. And obviously, like I said just before, Eagles have the most draft compensation. So the talks, they'll be on the phone with the Eagles because of that particular reason. And I think when you go into it, that other news did come out too. And not really not news, but this is just stupid things that happen on the internet. Every time there's a free agent or something, a trade is going to go down, players start, flaunting, with other fans on Twitter. And there was somebody that went on Twitter, and an Eagles fan that said, hey, Calvin Ridley, Bama offense with Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, better than 2 in Miami. Okay, and he actually liked that tweet. But before this tweet, a Miami Dolphin fan pretty much did the same thing, where I want Calvin Ridley with the Dolphins, and he liked that tweet. So there is a big, strong possibility that he could come here. Now, I would take this with a grain of salt, obviously, when it comes to Twitter and obviously flaunting with teams, because we've been through it all with players that, kind of say they want to go here when they really don't, or they're playing that game to where they're just saying it just to say it, to cause a whole ruckus with every fan base, which is definitely a possibility. But when it comes down to it, these are Bama stars right here that could eventually play together, okay, in this offense. Now, you look at Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. You look at Brian Johnson, which obviously Jalen Hurts has a lot of connectivity with over the years throughout college, high school. So they could keep building around Jalen Hurts, okay, and that attitude. When it comes down to Jalen Hurts, the offense, Devonta Smith needing that number 2 receiver, instead of going out there. Now, I'm not saying you don't have to pay Calvin Ridley, because you're going to have to pay Calvin Ridley regardless. Not right now, depending on how much money he has left on his contract in a trade. And then you could work on an extension, or they can work on an extension immediately to lessen that cap number. You know what I mean? So whatever number's left, they could just extend him to lessen that cap number if he has a lot of money left on how many more years he has left on his contract, whether it's 1, 2 years, whatever it is. This would be the perfect trade. Okay, now you look at Darius Slay and how Steven Nelson and them kind of talked back and forth before he became a Philadelphia Eagle at cornerback. Kind of take this with a grain of salt too, because sometimes these things do happen. I think having Jalen Hurts and having Calvin Ridley, having Devonta Smith at the end of the day, a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of connections with Calvin Ridley there. So that could help, obviously. Good offensive line, good tight end, and a quarterback that we're trying to find a franchise quarterback right now. So at this point, like I said, take this with a grain of salt. I think this would be the perfect trade. Not only that you could trade a draft pick, that he's not going to cost a first-round pick, guys. I've talked about this a million times. Calvin Ridley is not going to cost a first-round pick. Number one, he's played 5 games, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, it's not much. It's not much to really go on. I mean, if you want to give away a second, if they don't give away a second, maybe a third. I mean, if they get away with getting out of giving away a second, great. But if they give away a second, I think it's fair compensation. And if, sometimes teams will just want to get rid of, hey, look, we kind of want to get rid of a player or two on our team. So if they want to get rid of Jalen Reagor, say, hey, we'll give you Reagor. He needs a lot of work, but see what he could do. You know what I mean? Then they could probably do that. There are teams that just want the draft picks and say, hey, we'll take the player, but, they just want the draft pick regardless. They don't care about anything else. So if Reagor works out, great. If not, then they'll just move on from him at the end of the day. And I say Reagor because I think he should be a strong candidate to be in some type of trade, this year. Before the season starts. So it should be interesting to see what happens with the whole Calvin Ridley situation, but I'm excited to see what happens. The Eagles need a number 2, and I think, having Quez Watkins is playing really well this year, a lot of missed opportunity because of the quarterback, obviously the quarterback, issues this year, and obviously, Nick had a lot of, play calling issues earlier in the season, not running the football and all that, which we all know. So I'm on board with this trade 100%. I want this trade to go down. I would pick this trade over getting DJ Chark, over getting, Mike Williams, Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin. At this point, I'm all down for this trade because I think you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You can get what you want in Calvin Ridley being a Philadelphia Eagle, and you can get rid of some assets at the same time. So definitely look out for this. And let's just see what happens. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of Calvin Ridley, but obviously they have to look into the whole situation with his mental stuff and depression, whatever he's going through. So that's a whole nother thing. But I think, he's ready to play next year. But other than that, guys, pretty much it. I will see you guys later. SHAKESQUAD up, follow. So peace out, guys. Peace.